Hello everyone, it's Kari, and today I have a fun project to share with you. I'm going to be starting off with these Distress Oxide inks and this beautiful stencil from Missing Stamps. This is the Heirloom Bloom stencil, one of my favorites. I'm just going to set that aside while I do some inking. Now I have these separate brushes that I use for Distress Oxides, and I keep them only for my oxides, and I never combine them to use with regular ink. So these are the brushes that I'm using today, and I'm going to start by inking on some beautiful colors here. I've got the Salvaged Patina that I'm doing here. I first did the peeled paint. Now I'm going in with some Salty Ocean, and then I'll finish up with Wilted Violet. I'm just going to blend these together and back and forth until I get a really nice background. And once I get that color on there, I'll go ahead and bring that stencil back into frame here and tape that on the back. Then I'm going to take the exact same colors and ink them on again on their colors. This is Tone on Tone Stenciling, and it is one of my favorite things to do. It creates a subtle design in your background, and I think it looks so pretty. So if you start with a light inking and then ink over it again even darker, you'll get more of a result even than this. But I just wanted the tone on tone for this look today. And I'm going to set that aside to dry while I color up these Birthday Gnomes. You can see I've already cut them out, and these are ready except for the coloring to be put onto the card. And I'm going to color up these gnomes very simply, starting with E50, E53, and E55, just coloring up their faces, and then I'm going to start on the cake itself. Now I wanted a vanilla cake with a chocolate frosting, and so I am choosing some vanilla colors here with Y11, Y21, and Y23, and then I'm going to bring in Y26 a little bit later. But I'm going to start off with the Y21, just kind of mapping out where the darker colors are going to go on the cake, and then I'll go in with some Y11 and then bring in the Y23. And this is just some simple coloring to start out. That Y11 brings even more yellow to the cake, so then I brought in the Y23 and started doing some dots and adding some darker colors. I decided that wasn't showing up nearly enough, so that's when I brought in the Y26. And I'm adding some dots and some larger dots here too. If you can imagine what a cake looks like on the inside, it kind of has some air pockets to it. So these dots are just going to add that look so that it looks more like a cake. So like this cake has only been frosted in between and on top. So you can see that vanilla cake. So I'm just going to color the bottom layer also very much similar, the same way. This is super simple to do. Anyone could do this. This is even easy for a beginner, I think, because you're just adding some dots here, some larger than others. So I'll finish up this bottom layer, and then I'm going to start on the chocolate frosting. Now this same technique can be used on any flavor of cake that you want to color. Think of some pinks for strawberry. You could do a chocolate cake. You can do a layered cake that are different colors like a rainbow cake. Whatever you want to do. Now I'm starting with the lightest of the browns, and I'm just kind of mapping out where the dark colors are going to be and leaving some areas for highlights. And I like to do this so I remember not to color all of that in a dark color. And at first it's going to look a little bit sketchy, which sometimes it does at the beginning. But remember, this is just the darkest color, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the lighter color. I'll have the colors listed here on the screen, but I started with the E35 to map it out. Then I went in with the E79. And now I've got E57 where I'm just blending that out a little bit. And my lightest color will be E37, or actually E35 is my lightest. But I am using 4 shades of brown here. So you can see how I am doing this. And as I blend that through, I'm leaving some highlights, which is the white spaces there. You know, if you don't remember to leave some highlights, that's okay too. You can always go in with a white gel pen later, but I am trying to leave those highlights on this particular cake. And then I'll blend all of that through with the lightest color, which is the E35. This I'm going to let it dry for just a minute before I go back in with some darker colors. So as that is drying, I'm going to go in for the middle layer of frosting, starting with that E35, the lightest color, and then going in with the darkest, adding some shadows, and then blending it all the way through again with all the colors. So you can see I'm trying not to overthink this. Just going through and then going over the top with the very lightest color. I have way more fun coloring when I don't overthink it. And so, you know, coloring should be fun, right? Now I'm going over the top with those darker colors once again, and that it adds even more of the contrast. So there's our chocolate cake, or chocolate frosting with the vanilla cake. And there you can see kind of a close-up. And I'm going to finish coloring the rest of the gnomes. I didn't leave all the coloring in, just the cake portion, but you'll see here that I've colored up the little girl and then finished out those gnomes with some blues and greens. And now the background piece, I'm going to take this piece here and add a frame to the background. So to do that, I'm just going to blend on some black ink, and then that'll create our frame around the images. So this is such a fun stencil. It also comes with the inside piece and the outside pieces. But today I just used the frame portion. Really, really fun. So now I'm going to place those character images on there, and I'm going to double up the foam on that little girl and add one layer of foam to the cake and those gnomes holding it. And then I'll add that to the card. So the double layer here, so she looks like she's coming right out in front. And then I'll just glue down that sentiment with some liquid adhesive. You can see that I did a bubble cut around that sentiment. So that looks really pretty, and I will finish out by adding some glossy accents to the candles and allow that to dry for just a few minutes. In the end, I added a few gemstones to the finished card. So I added it to the card base, and here it is. And you'll see those gems added in the final pictures at the end here. But what a fun look. It does look like a party on a card, don't you think? There is our cake and our gnomes, and they are super happy. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you real soon with some more card making inspiration. Bye-bye.